Andy, you didn't have anything to add. We were talking about spirited ladies.
I was just going to add, have a toast on us.
I just thought you know something about spirits, and I don't know. I thought Beetlejuice's wife would have been pretty obvious.
I am now recording. Hey, speaking of spirited wives.
You just left it on the floor, and I kept leaving big.
Speaking of spirited wives, we can fly this over.
Whoa, Beetlejuice is here.
Hey, I got a spirited wife.
I laughed so hard in Beetlejuice 2 when Michael Keaton said, well, my ex-wife's back. It was like the best Beetlejuice line of all time.
And he's basically doing stand-up.
He was doing stand-up. We see that Beetlejuice's ex-wife. We don't realize it yet.
Yeah. He pulls out a mic like your favorite short, Seth, Wish It Would Rain. Where all of a sudden there's just a mic.
His wife has different body parts that sew themselves back together. And it's just that great sort of creepy Tim Burton look.
I think reassembles to Tragedy by the Bee Gees, right?
You think you're right.
Which is an all-time great jam.
And then it cuts to Beetlejuice in a room full of shrunken head dudes. And he says, well, my ex-wife's back. He maybe even says it's official.
Hell's official. Just a Borscht Belt comic.
This is a cold open where you're just listening to us mid-Beetlejuice conversation. We wanted you to pick this up because if anybody thinks, well, I wonder if they're always talking about Beetlejuice, the likelihood is we are.
Yeah, at least 60% of the time.
It's the Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast.
Guys, first of all, welcome to the Lonely Island Seth Meyers podcast. It's great to see all three of you.
You too. You
Great
too.
to be here.
I got my job.
We're back. All of us are back.
I got my
I
job.
very much enjoyed the episodes I missed. You guys did a great job.
Thanks, Keyrox.
Speaking of the episodes you missed, a little housekeeping.
Please.
Here's the part of the show where Seth takes some boxes. I don't know. Is that helpful?
Oh, no one asked, but it's welcome.
Okay.
I feel like we did not give the proper shout out to the Roots, both for the Radio City concert and the work they did on the actual 50th itself.
Full on Begree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the Roots are so good and well respected that you sometimes forget you need to say the Roots are the best.
It's crazy how much work they do. Just hardest working men and women in show business.
And they can do anything and they can back up anyone, and it's just something to see.
The variety of genre and eras represented on that Friday night Radio City show that they backed basically all of was astounding and sounded, dare I say, tight.
It sounded like the people had their bands, like
Yeah.
everyone had come with their own band.
Akiva, exactement.
It was amazing.
Exactement.
Exactement.
Took the words right out of my
I
mouth.
love when you're French. I love it when you're French.
I want to give a little, you can't see me, but I'm using a mug given to me by my dear friend Akiva.
I gave it to him.
It was a gift from Akiva. It says Skywalker Sound.
Yeah,
Oh.
I bought it up in Marin at the Skywalker Ranch.
Okay, well, now I'm jealous that I didn't get one. Why didn't you give me one, asshole?
Because I was very jealous that he was there and I wanted to come with him and I couldn't. So
okay.
He did it as a sweet friend favor.
This does remind me of when you went to Prague or something, Andy, and I asked you if you would give me a shot glass from there, and you did. I can't remember where you
Oh,
were.
that's
I
nice.
did.
Yeah, it was really nice of you.
Of course. Chums, monumental chums. God, guys, the fucking Java's coursing through my veins. I should drink it every ep. Oh, here
I should drink
comes
it
the
every
Jav.
ep.
Peter Gabriel.
This app is sponsored by Java.
Seth, I had a correction listening, or rather an omission I noted,
Yeah.
which is, Andy, you were talking about the SNL 50th after party, and you recounted kind of like a botched interaction with Robin, the singer, and Beck, the singer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You did a joke, and that was like a fake mean joke of like, hey, we're in the middle of a conversation, and you think Robin might have taken you seriously, and then you never saw her again to like clarify, and maybe she
clean
knows
it
it was
up.
a bit, to clean it up.
I talked to her, and I know for a fact that she listens to every episode of this. So, Andy, this is your opportunity to apologize to her directly. Go ahead.
But what you didn't even, and I kept waiting for you to mention that we have a song that we did. It is Beck's song featuring Robin and the Lonely Island.
That's right.
And it's from the Lego Movie sequel, the Lego Movie 2. And it's the end credits song called Super Cool.
Yes.
So I kept waiting for you to be like, I don't know.
It's a Lego
mention
2
it.
song reunion.
Yeah, something. It felt weird to tell the whole story.
It's always weird to have a reunion with people. When you didn't record in the same room, hard to have a reunion.
You guys, podcasts are the wave of the future. I'm finally coming around, except for in 5 minutes when this crash happens.
That's what I was about to say. I like enjoying the high, but it's scary because you know the low is coming.
It's really scary.
Especially when like we haven't even started really the meat of the podcast. By the time we get to the shorts.
All right, well, we can cut all that out.
No, it's keep it all in. I want this to be a PSA against Jav.
All right, great. But cut out me saying we can cut it out, and then cut out me saying that.
Oh, no.
Fuck, I'm
No,
in the
it's
fucking
all in.
spiral, you guys. I'm in the fucking cut spiral.
So what's your anecdote?
So we were sitting near Tim Meadows and also Sarah Silverman, as you mentioned, Seth, at the 50th.
Yeah.
And I saw Sarah, and I was like, hey, there's Tim. And I went, hey, pop star reunion. And she was like, what?
Really?
Wait, really? And then she went, oh, pop star reunion. Yeah. And I was
Oh,
like,
man.
"Oh."
That's cool.
But it reminded me of what you're saying, Keith, which is people don't remember what we do. We never remember the stuff we do.
What do you think the reaction would have been? Be honest, if you had said in front of Robin and Beck, Lego 2 reunion.
They would have been like, what?
They wouldn't have remembered, I don't
Beck
think.
would have remembered. The reason you didn't remember right away is because it's one of the rare things we did where somebody else was in charge.
Yeah.
Like it was Beck's song, and then he came to us being like, can you write a bunch of verses? And so we did those on our own and sent them to him.
It was also the sending back and forth thing where you're like, we never saw each other.
That's what I'm saying. He called up Robin. She was in Sweden. She added her vocals. I don't think
Yeah.
they were in a room together. And he was in charge of the whole thing. So he's the only one that would have remembered.
I do think, though, you're shattering people's dream vision of us all together in the studio making a Lego 2 song.
Yeah. Like Fleetwood Mac on Rumors. You guys just at each other.
Oh, man.
But also so much sexual tension.
Such tension.
So
Yes,
much.
that's just turbocharged. Like, oh, who's going to do it? And it was me and Keith.
I think we did a good job. I'm proud of that song. I think that our verses are very funny.
I agree. I really like the end credits raps.
We can sometimes get desensitized to how cool shit is. I still thought it was very cool that after you listened to that podcast, Keeve, you texted, hey guys, remember we did a song with Beck and Robin. And I just really liked. Don't forget that that's a really awesome thing to have been,
Right.
have been a true thing.
And for them to go, oh, right.
We're so fucking jaded now that we've been to the 50th.
Post 50th.
I have another housekeeping thing if you're ready for it, Seth.
Oh, please.
I'm ready too.
Okay. This is from the Space Olympics episode.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There was some insistence of Andy that I didn't like it, and I kept having to say, no, I kind of did like it. You're putting words in my mouth.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. He's like, if it's not so good, why is it Phil Lord and Chris Miller's favorite short?
Speaking of the Lego movie, nice tie back.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. We could play a clip even from that episode.
I mean, if it's so bad, Keeve, how come it's Phil Lord and Chris Miller and Seth Meyers' favorite digital short?
I'm not even saying it's bad. I'm saying maybe there's a magic to it.
I think Keeve would like it if it was twice as fast.
Yeah.
I don't dislike it. It's just a little middling to me. I think that gives it anarchy, and that's why maybe Phil and Chris, maybe what's appealing to them about it is that there's a sense of anarchy to it, I think.
I'm sorry. This is Phil and Chris's favorite.
Why don't you just admit that you hate it and that you hate me?
Hold on. Is that true? For real?
Just admit to me finally that you hate me and you hate the song. Just admit both.
All I know is Phil and Chris better be getting a phone call about a voice note.
Yeah. This is Phil Lord when asked for that voice note.
I have never seen or heard of Space Olympics,
Huh.
but I'm going to watch it right now.
Okay. So
Oh my gosh. That's more what I expected, by the way.
Heartbreaking.
it's a perfect answer.
By the way, Keeve,
Mhm.
Andy went full tilt after that episode. Andy, I think, thinks about your take on Space Olympics more than any of you are willing to admit. Andy, admit it. You were like, as soon as that was over, you were like, Keeve hates it.
I mean, I felt as if he correctly thought it was a little shaggy, but maybe was less interested in like the vibe and spirit of it as others.
I weirdly felt like I was more judgmental about it than Keeve was. Like, I feel like Keeve kept trying to defend it, being like, yeah, no, it's like kind of punk rock and stuff. Like, I don't know if he said exactly that.
Maybe that's internalized, Yorm. I don't know.
Well, I hate it.
Or maybe I'm like, I don't know how to read people. I don't know.
Or you only care what Keeve thinks and you don't care at all what Yorm thinks.
I
That's
would
definitely
never.
true.
I
That's-
would never say that on the record, Seth.
No, he wouldn't say that on a podcast. Not on this podcast.
What do you think happened? Like, why did you think Phil and Chris loved it?
I just had a memory of them coming and visiting us at the house in Encino when we were recording and playing it for them and them saying they loved it, but I could be wrong.
Oh, the song, though. Maybe you're thinking of the song and not the actual video.
I feel like I played it for them and they really liked it.
I feel like you might be right, and he just can't remember. In any case, just to be fair, a little while later, Phil did watch, and then he sent this.
I love it. I can't believe I've denied myself the enjoyment of this for so many years. Why didn't you?
So you were sort of right.
Tell me.
Yeah. Why you tell me?
I love it. I'm wiping tears from my eyes. So, Andy, you were wrong in the sense that I had never seen it, and I neglected to call you and compliment you on it, as I do after every single thing you do.
No.
Because I didn't know you guys made it. However, Andy is correct that
this is very generous.
It's my favorite short you've ever made.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
It has a happy ending.
So you just knew what he was going to
Yeah,
like.
that must have been it. I had an instinct.
Yeah, you were like, there's no way he does it.
Oh, what a great guy.
Well, anyways, I mean, the famous story internally amongst us, and I know this is jumping ahead, is when we were making our second album, Turtleneck and Chain, Lord and Miller, Phil and Chris to us, came and visited the house, and we played them a few songs we'd been working on, but we had a document open on our computer of song ideas, and Chris was just sort of absentmindedly looking at it, and he was like, "What's I Just Had Sex?" And we're like, "Oh, that's just like an idea we have written down." He was like, "I want to hear that one."
Okay.
He's like, "What's that song? Make that." And me and Yorm were like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And then we did.
Great.
One of our bigger hits.
Yeah.
By the way, absolutely the right instinct. Whereas that's why you don't want me in the room. I'm like, I wish it would rain. Tell me more.
Well, you gotta do that.
You gotta do I wish it would rain.
You're talking about deconstructing a trope from fringe soul songs throughout the decades
People love that.
with a really, really questionable singing tone.
More housekeeping. You know, some of our loyal listeners. I'm going to read the text we just got from Sure.
Oh, yeah, I was going to bring that up too.
So we talked about Al Franken yelling at George Harrison to stop playing piano on a Tuesday night.
Fucking greatest.
And Sure just texted, for the record, not only did Franken yell, people are trying to work when Harrison was playing piano, he also slammed down the cover on the piano so hard, Harrison apparently had to yank his hands away so they wouldn't literally get snapped in half. This story was told to me by Al Franken, who was giggling so hard 25 years later.
It's the best. God
Well,
damn
yeah.
it.
It's
Yeah.
a fucking highlight. That's a life highlight.
And then also we were talking about Bugs, the Mike O'Brien short Bugs
Yes.
short film. And he reached out because we mentioned it on the pod. He said, for what it's worth, and if it should come up again, or for your own interest, Bugs was completely Tim's idea. That's Tim Robinson. In fact, it was his Monday pitch that week. He and Zach Cannon, handed it to me on a platter. The bug handlers kept almost losing the bugs while saying that if one got away, it could mess up the ecosystem of New York.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Wow. One could?
What kind of bug?
Oh, my God.
Me, Tim, and Zach wrote and shot a second one called Dogs, What Are They So Excited About?
Oh.
That got cut after dress and never put online. Bothers me to this day.
Oh.
So that's nice to know.
I want to see.
Still some funny bits. Yeah, we'll track down Dogs, maybe do a little mini, why'd this get cut?
Who do we lean on to do a online only release?
I think Lorne said post 50th, he wants to be more open to small stuff. Lorne was like, I've been thinking big picture for the last 10 years and now I just want to get granular.
That sounds like him.
Yeah.
I mean, the voice does.
Oh, that's actually a nicer compliment.
So that's like an accurate impression. You're like, I don't think he said that, but that did sound like him.
Yeah.
God.
That was the first time Andy's heard a Lorne impression. He's like, whoa, that sounded like him. That was neat.
Fucking wild. I didn't know
It
you
was your voice.
I didn't know you could do that.
How'd you make your voice sound like a different voice?
Oh, it's the first time he's heard any impression.
Yeah.
All right. The next show is James Franco.
Oh, are we going to talk about our best short ever?
No, we're going to talk about the James Franco show.
Oh.
There's 3 shorts that we're trying to cover today, and what they all have in common is that they're totally forgettable.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about it is that they're forgettable in a way. We've had very few this forgettable. We've had bad ones, but they all kind of hold a special place in my memory in different ways of the way they did or didn't work.
Yeah.
These 3 actually just disappeared from my memory. And
Yeah.
maybe it's because we had been at the show long enough that we were starting to be in a rhythm where every short wasn't so special. Or maybe there's just some special thing about these shorts that make them absolutely forgettable.
Say that James Franco, who is, for my money, a very fun SNL host, down for a lot of stuff, he is in a short called Hey. And it sort of feels like, what, OC parody? Gossip Girl?
Tonally is like Gossip Girl parody kind of thing.
And that is, I think, all we have to say about it because it's well acted and doesn't age well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just, remember even at the time, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it because it was Yorm's.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wrote it, but it was like a very lazy, I don't even know why we did
I
it.
remember you even being like, I guess, let's just do this. Like, we were out of gas that week.
You were bailing us out by doing it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but it was like I wrote it and it was even like, okay, yeah. I mean, it was, I think the only thing that's interesting about it is like that we did a tonal thing. And then we did this a lot, but there's in almost every one of these shows or movies, there's a hey, hey scene where people come up and say, hey, and then the other person says, hey. It's in almost everything, which is the only interesting observation I'll say about it. And then the joke is just that he's talking about his baby wiener or something. Like, well, I don't know, what is the...
His ding dong.
So weird, because that's never been a motif that you guys have explored before.
I mean, I'm going to say something positive, which is that for how many things we did on the show, and we're covering almost every single one, most of them age really well, which for comedy,
pretty good.
You'd expect to have more things not aging well than we have so far, at least. I don't want to jinx it. I don't know what's coming up. So I think we're owed this one. And so.
And I think you're both owed, and also it is very nice to own that it is aged badly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the music in it from, did we use that music on the Boo?
Yes, it's a Let's Go Sailing song that my friend Shayna is the lead singer of that band. And we put that in, I think, a bunch of things because it's lovely music.
Yeah.
That age is fine. Her music age is fine.
Yeah, the music is fine. But you know that way he said that when Chris, I just had sex and said, oh, I want to see that. The opposite would be seeing hey on a piece of paper.
Sure. What's hey?
Because yes, it's a trope, but it's sort of immediately... The fact that the short itself becomes less interesting the longer it goes on, I think speaks to the fact that there wasn't much there to start with.
Well, because it didn't play with the trope of hey. It just started.
Yeah.
There's also a thing happening here, which is, and we'll talk about it a little, although I like this one much more with Extreme Activities, which is we're in the flow of the show enough now and being asked to do them every week enough now that we are doing arguably lesser versions of similar things, right? So like we've done Dear Sister, which is very clearly the same world. It's just like ended up being a stronger concept. And we did all of the Boo before we even worked at SNL. So like we're playing in the same sandbox to lesser effect. And that's what happens sometimes at SNL when you're exhausted and you're out of ideas and you're told you have to do something.
The funny thing is the one thing you could say is definitely true is hey is the best, looks the best by far.
I was going to say, like, it's such a bummer that, like, and maybe it's not a bummer. Maybe it was supposed to be this, but Dear Sister is, like, shot super last minute at, like, a hotel up the street and, like, no lighting. It's super shitty. Right. And then this one is like, well, he put some effort into it looking good and to a concept that doesn't deserve it.
And you got Wigs full attention and she's acting great. And, you know, by the way, same location as the I Ran So Far piano setup.
Mm-hmm. And Mother Lovers sandwiches. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Forte Megan Fox date sketch, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the roof deck at, what floor is that on? 12th floor? Somewhere around there.
We shot up there all the time.
It's just in 30 Rock.
I just remember in order to get there, you have to walk through someone's desk space and out the window.
Oh, that's right. And we shot it there all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's all manicured. It's a beautiful garden, yet there's no entrance.
It's so weird because it would be such a nice place to hang out and no one is allowed there except for the person whose office it is.
Pretty cool office.
Who crawls out of their window? What the fuck?
We would do it all the time, too. We're like, hey, Stacy.
That does feel like it's like John D. Rockefeller. That's who goes
I
there.
think it's to look at.
It's to look at that garden.
It's true. It's like, Susan, great news. We're moving you to the garden office, but also everyone at SNL will walk through your desk space every single week for promos and whatnot.
Support for the Lonely Island and Seth Meyers podcast comes from Airbnb. Some trips are better in an Airbnb. When you're traveling with a group of friends, or maybe you're traveling with a large family or an extended family, or when you're looking for an authentic or local experience. Obviously, this podcast is about four friends hanging out, talking about old times. And we have taken trips with our SNL writer friends. It was something we would do during our time at SNL. We went to Amsterdam once to hang out with my friends from Boom Chicago, which is the comedy theater I used to work at. And we went out of our way to make sure we booked an Airbnb because we knew that our evenings would end and we would want to go have a quiet hang with one another. And the bars were going to be closed and the hotel lobby was going to be closed. But with an Airbnb, we could find our way into a nice living room. We would have a kitchen where we bought the snacks we wanted to eat, maybe had a fridge full of beverages, both adult and otherwise. And those times, that hang, when we would all just settle in together, was one of the things that made that trip extra special. And it was all thanks to Airbnb and what it provides that other places don't. So when you're looking for an authentic or local experience, book your next awesome trip today at airbnb.com. Support comes from Rocket Money. Hey, what's up, Keeve?
Hey, what's up? What's up, Yorm?
Oh, hi.
Yorm's here. All right, look at that. Hey, you guys, Rocket Money's great. It's a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. You guys made We Like Sports.
We did.
That's right.
Yeah, that's correct.
So you're probably like me. I sign up for all these fantasy football websites during the football season, and it's like a monthly charge, and then I forget to cancel them when it's not football season. I'm preaching to the choir. You guys are big fantasy football guys, right?
Huge.
Absolutely, Seth. Thank you for bringing it up. Fantasy football.
Yorma, who's your favorite current football player, fantasy or otherwise?
Fantasy football people, it would be like anybody who has like a plus 20, like a druid or an elf is my favorite characters. But yeah, that's I would say that those are my tops.
All right, so obviously...
Brock Purdy. My name's Barvin.
Hey, we got Andy in here doing a Rocket Money ad.
No, it's Barvin. I'm sorry I'm late. Just wanted to come plug my main man, Brock Purdy.
Barvin. Barvin, is it? With a B?
With a B. I hope he gets a great new contract.
So Barvin, the great thing about Rocket Money is you can see all your subscriptions in one place and know exactly where your money is going. For ones you don't want anymore, Rocket Money can help you cancel them. Their dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all your accounts. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Barvin, if you had $740, what would you spend it on?
I'm sorry, I was doing the spelling bee and I lost track of what you were saying.
Oh, this character does the spelling bee.
Barvin.
You should meet our friend Andy Samberg. He also does that.
Oh, he sounds great at fake raps.
Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/island today. That's rocketmoney.com/island. Rocketmoney.com/island. So it is a nice timestamp to say it was James Franco and Kings of Leon. Well, what are the two Kings of Leon songs? $100 if anybody can name both.
Journey to the Center, and then, oh God, Carmela.
If you get both wrong, like Yorm, you owe me $100. I should have said that first.
No, I'm not guessing.
Oh.
I feel like they were the two I would have said. Sex on Fire and Use Somebody.
Oh,
Sex
yeah.
on Fire, Use Somebody.
Nice work. I didn't say the $100 was off the table if you said it after me. So well done, Andy.
Oh, that's true.
Then we move on to the Anne Hathaway show.
I feel irresponsible, but I haven't watched Extreme Activities Challenge.
Oh, you should watch it. I just watched it before we got on because I'm responsible. And I went through the emotions of going, oh, this is way more clever and fun than I remembered. I'm enjoying this, to, oh, this is long and more boring than I remembered. I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
And it just kind of oscillated between those two emotions over and over.
Exact same journey, Keeve. My memory of it was where I ultimately ended up after watching it, but I felt over the course of the first 45 seconds to a minute that I had been too hard on it.
Agreed.
I really like seeing Andy. I really like seeing Wig. I really like seeing Forte. I like seeing the Kiva font. I like the music. And then it did feel like just a lesser version of something we'd seen before.
But there was clever twists in the beginning that are new. Like, okay, because obviously it's doing Punch You Before Eating and Andy popping into frame. But just like Punch You Before Eating is seeing how much juice you can squeeze out of one premise, doing variations with the Forte thing. And now that the audience knows the game of punching, what's he going to do? In the same way, it was like, all right, these are extreme challenges. So then they start becoming absurd ones, like holding a chair down or balancing a hat on your head. And so it's going in this direction of very cleverly like deconstructing the idea of these challenges. And then it kind of abandons it into other territories that are not nearly as good.
In that same audio way of it, this feeling a tiny bit redundant of other things that we've done, I believe I just lifted the beat from another thing and then it's just like swapped out stuff. Like, I feel like this one was also like oh yeah, could have been different, more different. I mean, I always like doing these beats. There's something like catchy about them, but no.
But is this, again, all because it's the lead up to the election and we know we're not the hot shit during election season and Seth's taking the front seat and so we're like in the back going like,
just like, go ahead, drive the car, mister.
Yeah, like the news is going to be all about the cold open and the other thing that Seth does. So we're filler in these episodes.
I do kind of remember having a little bit of that feeling of like, this isn't as important as what's happening.
I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, but it's so funny because if I think about it now, I'd be like, no, it means more people are watching the show. You should try to make something even more incredible. But it just felt to us like, let them have their show for a little bit.
I'm back.
Did you watch it?
I think if you cut like 30 seconds out of it, it would be delightful.
Yeah, I just think it's too long.
But there's certain moves in it. The pinning the chair down, I love.
Yeah. You guys are very fun.
All of Wig's, dancing and movement is great.
It's a very good before tape art.
It is, but I feel like it hits it too many times.
Yeah.
And it's a little sad. I wish it didn't end sad with the referee crying in a corner.
I agree.
Yeah. You know what I would have done different on Extreme Activities events?
What would you have done different on Extreme Activities, Andy?
I would have cut 3 beats, and then I also would have cut 3 celebrations. I felt like we were committing the sin we always say not to, which is letting the music dictate the visuals instead of the other way around.
Yeah. There was a VP debate cold open. This was Tina Fey as Sarah Palin, Jason Sudeikis as Joe Biden. This was one of my favorites ever. And my favorite joke in it was Jim Downey had a thing that he sent. He called in because I was writing it, but it was a very staff-written piece. And Downey called in after it was over. He goes, the only thing I have is just the way Joe Biden talks about Scranton, his hometown.
I come from Scranton, Pennsylvania. And that's as hard scrabble a place as you're going to find. I'll show you around sometime and you'll see. It's a hellhole. An absolute jerkwater of a town. You couldn't stand to spend a weekend there. It's just an awful, awful, sad place. Filled with sad, desperate people with no ambition. Nobody, and I mean nobody, but me has ever come out of that place.
But then one of the things this show had, I thought this was a spectacular show. Anne Hathaway returned many times, a great SNL host. First, Lawrence Welk. Obviously, we're in the shadow of the 50th, where this is a sketch that became so iconic that it was then pulled back for the 50th. The first Lawrence Welk was like nothing else.
Oh, yeah.
The audience knew they were there for something incredibly special.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Wig busted out the baby hands at the table read.
I believe that is correct.
Yes.
So everyone understood what they'd be looking at, and everyone immediately was like, yep.
Sisters always stick together even when they fall in love. Like with my boyfriend, with my husband, with my fiancé, with my by myself.
Wait, I didn't rewatch it though. Did it immediately pop off though? Like audience just loved it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's destroyed.
Makes sense.
I remember after the table read, we all should have just gone back to our offices and called our friends from high school and been like, cancel your plans.
Okay, well,
you're going to see.
I don't remember any of this.
It was amazing though. And there was a Mary Poppins sketch. Oh, hey.
Job's wearing off.
Oh, no.
I hate podcasts again.
Oh, fuck.
Come on,
fuck,
buddy.
we're fucked.
Come back to us.
Well, fucking everyone does them. It's why are we even doing this? So out of job.
Out of job. I'm out of
You're out of job.
The J tank is on E.
The J tank.
Do you have 1 cup a day or 1 cup a week? What do you do?
Fuck you, Seth. You've never understood me, dude.
Hey, here's a special thing that was in this episode. Do you know what else was in this episode, bud?
What?
Mark Wahlberg was talking to animals.
Oh.
For the first time?
First time.
Great
Wow.
stuff.
Wow, that's what the
Hell of
title...
an app.
Can we title this episode Mark Wahlberg Talks to Animals?
We might as well. So Sandberg's got a Wahlberg. Sandberg, what was the name of the movie? He says, say hi to your mother for me, like Four Brothers or something?
He doesn't actually say it. It was
Someone
just...
says it to Mark Wahlberg in the film Mile 22.
Oh.
That doesn't
So
count.
he's never said it in something, but then it was shocking because it's a very serious movie. And then another character kind of says it as a fuck you to Mark in the movie, and it was in the trailer.
Can we talk about the end of Four Brothers just real quick? Because it has one of my favorite endings of any fucking movie ever, where
I also want to start by saying no memory of the premise, but go ahead.
they're four like adoptive brothers, and then they get put upon for some reason, fucked over by like a crime boss or something, or they have to kill so many fucking people. This is my vague remembrance of the movie. But at the very end of the movie, the way that they deal with the fact that they've murdered everyone, and then the police come up to them like on a porch is my remembrance of like on their family home that they protected or whatever. And they're like, so what are we going to do about this? And they look up at the cop and they're like, self-defense. And then they smiles real big. He goes, self-defense. And then you're like, oh, that's fucking like chef's kiss, like logic cleared up. Just the best.
That's the best.
So, by the way, he did say it when he came and did SNL.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he did the bit with
It's
you.
so good.
Yes, exactly.
But we're not there.
We're not there. Now, can I clarify? We talked about this before, yes, that we tried Wahlberg Talks to Animals once. Harper and I wrote it.
Yeah.
And it was in Chicane Alley, and it didn't air, right? So this is when we moved it to center stage, and it did air.
Yeah.
And did I say that I started doing the impression because Jonah Hill said I sounded like Mark Wahlberg one day?
No.
I was just doing a voice that I thought was more just like someone from the Bay.
I mean, you also kind of look like him. You know what I mean?
Handsome.
That's very generous.
You're handsome.
Very
Yeah,
generous.
handsome, ripped abs, all that
Exact same bod.
stuff. Yeah.
The face I don't see it. The bod is like a mirror. So funny. This was a hot show. And one of those days, I believe everything kind of coalesced for good old Mark Wahlberg Talks to Animals, because you were center stage in a hot show and people were very psyched to see you guys do your thing.
It was fun.
I gotta say, it's feeling sadder to me now that we're like pointing out that we're like not punting, but that we're maybe not doing our best work. Because you're right, this is a really good show, a lot of eyeballs on the show, and maybe we didn't do our job as well as we should have.
I would just argue that no matter how good you've done the week before, it's just the art of survival sometimes when you're in a long run of working there. And that's sort of the sad truth sometimes.
And Mark Wahlberg Talks to Animals more than makes up for it. The audience isn't going like, they're just looking for whatever Andy's doing next. And so you had actually one of your biggest hits that week. So you nailed it.
Sure. Yeah, especially for me where impressions were hard to come by.
Andy, can you remember what animals you talked to that week?
Oh, I want to say chicken, goat, and one other. Is that right?
I think that's right. Dog? No?
Donkey. Kevin's saying donkey. I think that's right.
Hey, donkey.
Hey, donkey.
Hey, donkey. How you doing?
Now I'm gonna talk to a donkey. Hey, donkey, what's going on? You're a donkey. I like that. You eat apples, right? I produce entourage. Okay. Talk to you later, donkey.
That's a very...
I was in Four Brothers. You're a donkey.
It's very, very funny to think of you and Harper writing that sketch.
How long did it take to write?
Not long.
Which is the best.
The whole piece is like 3 pages, maybe.
I would be so bummed if you guys worked it. The joy of it is you almost can see the lack of effort.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's loose.
Oh, yeah.
Just like between dress and air, it was hey, donkey. And then by air, we were like, we got to beat it. And we pulled the whole table together and everybody was pitching on it.
I will say, there was always a thing at table reads when something was like 3 pages, I would be like, yes, good for them.
You do get people on your side that way.
Yeah.
I do remember feeling like in some strange way it was like a companion piece to Out of Breath Jogger, because it was like, here's the title of what you're about to see, and it's super short, one-note concept, and then it turned into something else.
Yep.
There was a really fun Mulaney, Bobby Moynihan sketch called News Team. And the opening VO was, stay tuned for your local news on Channel 3's Sioux City's finest and America's most YouTubed news team. You know how like you used to see like local news fuck-ups on YouTube all the time? So it's just every single person was like
amazing how quickly you get that concept from just that intro.
It was a red hot sketch. Jason and News Desk. And so
Up next, City Councilman Doug Parks faces bribery charges when we return. Told you about him, didn't I? Believe me, I have seen it. What? Just on to...
And it's just that over and over again. Here's another thing that happens. Will in front of a key screen in a parking lot of a stadium. The Sioux City Bandits are off to a great start this year, and then Fred wanders into frame wearing tank top and short shorts and just starts pointing at his crotch. Also, just Fred in a tank top is, in general,
Yeah, it's a
super
good
funny.
call.
I'm assuming the weatherman inadvertently drew something on the screen, you know?
It's meteorologist Andrea St. James, Amy and Poncho in front of key screen, wind blowing, winds have reached speeds of over 80 miles per hour, and a small mailbox flies past her. She screams.
Oh, all right. Not what I thought.
Yeah, not what you would have gone with. You know,
No.
sometimes it zigs when you should have zagged.
No, might have been good.
Might have been good, you know?
Might have been better.
You're not judging.
No.
We were talking about how it was political season. There was a SNL Weekend Update Thursday, and you did a digital short in that, Andy.
Yes.
Yeah, so the weekend updates, though, in general, Thursdays, how many of those did you have to do, Seth?
I think we did 2 or 3.
And they'd be during show weeks.
During show weeks. It was crazy.
It was crazy. This was the gauntlet, right?
This was the gauntlet. There's a famous T-shirt. I used to make T-shirts at SNL. That was kind of my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I made a T-shirt called The Gauntlet. And the gauntlet was, I think, what was it? 8 shows in 10 weeks?
It was 10 shows
10
in 8
shows
weeks.
in 8 weeks.
Oh, yeah, 10 shows in 8 weeks.
Wait, so how was it for you, Seth? Like, how stressful was that for you on those?
It was so stressful. It was also, though, so fun. This was SNL being shot out of a rocket. Everybody was back in on SNL. We were riding the Palin wave, and the show was getting really good. And we would come out of election season, and it was a very fine time to be working on the show. So I look back on it very fondly.
Yeah, that's true. They did too.
And has that ever happened again? It hasn't, right? That was unprecedented.
I think it was unprecedented. They've done a lot. I feel like they've done a long run of shows, this new group, but I don't think they've done Thursdays in the way that we did.
It was a vote of confidence to be like, we want more SNL, even not on a Saturday.
We want, prime time 9:30 shows.
Yeah, on Thursday nights, which is historically, that's NBC's big night.
It was almost like the players were ready for prime time, you could say.
Oh, good one. Yours.
Used to have Cheers.
Yeah, that was when Cheers was on. Taxi.
Family Ties. The Cosby Show. Friends. Ever heard of any of them, Andy?
No, not familiar.
So the Weekend Update Thursday. Oh, I just do want to say, before the Anne Hathaway show, there was the Anna Faris show. And you guys had a digital short that was cut at dress.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Sun's Day Off. It's nuts.
Is it online?
No.
No.
Oh.
We didn't really finish it.
Yeah.
It was kind of like we were attempting something and then we never quite got to figure out what it was.
No, but this was like sort of animation, and it was the first time that I was doing a lot of animation, and I was only bummed that it didn't air because it was so fucking weird and different than anything we'd done. But it wasn't, I don't remember it being good necessarily.
It was not. I rewatched it. Not only is it not online, Andy, it is password protected.
Oh.
But it is interesting. Your face is on the sun, and the sun's trying to find a place to take a nap. The thing that starts that I liked a lot is Hader has a fantastic look as a guy who's introducing the fable, sort of a public television-y type thing.
Yeah.
But he's sort of getting progressively drunker as it goes, and that's not working. And the sun's not working. The sun is trying to find a place to rest, and Forte's head's on a cloud.
I love it here.
Dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum. Oh, hey, man, how's it going?
Peter.
How's the weather? Just kidding, it's sunny. You're the sun.
Good one.
Yeah, so have you seen Randy lately?
Nope.
Well, he has gained weight. I feel bad for him. He's just such a great guy, but, I've noticed that he has been porking up recently, and, it's,
The cloud was a real bummer, so the sun made a break for it.
Then you see Anna Faris's head on a cow, and you guys had broken up, and you tell her it's the biggest mistake you've ever made, and then a cow comes up behind her and mounts her.
Okay.
I mean, it sounds good.
Yeah, you're selling me pretty hard. I'm in.
But I do want to bring up Anna Faris because she was a super fun show.
She's great.
She was a great host.
She's a very funny lady.
And now a word from our sponsors at Betterment. When investing your money starts to feel like a second job, Betterment steps in with a little work-life balance. They're an automated investing and savings app, which means they do the work. While they build and manage your portfolio, you build and manage your weekend plans. While they make it easy to invest for what matters, you just get to enjoy what matters. Their automated tools simplify the complex and put your money to work, optimizing day after day and again. So go ahead, take your time to rest and recharge, because while your money doesn't need a work-life balance, you do. Make your money hustle with Betterment. Get started at betterment.com. That's BETTERMENT.com
Betterment.com. Investing involves risk. Performance not guaranteed.
Support for the Lonely Island Seth Meyers podcast comes from Thrive Market. Kiev, Yorm, you guys love to shop.
Ooh, yes. I'm so glad you brought this up.
Shopaholics.
You talked about Rocket Money, and now this. This is great.
You also love shopping for healthy options for your families.
But it's hard. It's difficult.
It is hard. It is difficult. But guess what? Thrive Market makes it simple to find trusted, family-friendly brands without spending hours in the grocery store. From snacks and school lunches to pantry staples, everything they offer is 100% non-GMO. And with their on-site filters, you can shop based on what matters most to your family. Low sugar, gluten-free, organic, or high-protein options, all just a click away. Guys, it's time for a personal endorsement. Do you mind if I make it personal?
I wish you would.
Land the plane.
Every 2 weeks, we get a big old Thrive box full of snacks that the kids like. And let me tell you, what they're doing with mangoes today, the drying process, the packaging process with mangoes, I can't say enough.
I wish Andy was on here right now because he eats dried mangoes every morning for reals. Barvin, do you like dried mangoes?
Well, Barvin wanted to ask Seth, so it sounds to me like you like a Demango.
Oh, wow.
But it sounds like with Thrive Market, you can have a Demango.
Plus, Thrive Markets, in case you forgot that's what this is an ad for. Plus, Thrive Market's smart card features take the guesswork out of healthy shopping. When you create an account, they ask you your family's needs and automatically build a cart full of cleaner versions of your favorite brands. You can tweak it before checking out, but it's a great way to get started, especially if you're trying to phase out junk food. Yorm, where are you standing on junk food these days?
I dislike it, Seth. Thank you for and anybody out there who's trying to feed my kids junk food, you can talk to Thrive Market because they don't do that. And thank you so much, Seth, for bringing that up. I think I tied it back in really nicely.
Beautifully put.
It was really maybe the highest bar you've hit so far.
Thank you.
On a tie back. Ready for a junk-free start to 2025? Head to thrivemarket.com/island and get 30% off your first order, plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/island, thrivemarket.com/island. And just tell them Barvin sent you.
Yeah.
Can you Seth's Corner me real quick?
Seth's Corner, you're all invited. Seth's Corner, it's happening right now. Take it away, Seth.
I wrote a scene where her and Keenan were on a rowboat, and it was like a romantic night out. And then she kept having a sort of interior monologue songs about what she hoped would happen. And it was very clear that Keenan was a hitman who was sent to kill her.
How did I meet this guy? How did I get so lucky? He came at the perfect time. I swear he's my knight in shining armor. He makes me smile, he makes me laugh. His arms are so strong, he could break me in half. How did I meet this guy? How did I get so lucky?
I gotta kill this lady. Ideally within the next half hour. Then I can
I feel like I remember this and it was kind of top of show, right?
It was pretty high, yeah.
Yeah.
It was after a debate sketch.
That's a pretty weird top of show one.
It was weird. Couric, Palin, we've talked a lot about the Palins, but that was Amy and Tina together again. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the first Judy Grimes, which for my money is still as good an update feature as I've ever seen. The first Googie Rene.
Googie Rene.
Googie Rene.
Remind me who Googie Rene is.
Googie Rene is budget bridal gowns. Maybe not the first, maybe the second. But if we haven't talked about Googie Rene, we should talk about Googie Rene more.
This is a classic James Anderson Keenan team up, right?
James Anderson, Kent Sublette, Keaton Thompson.
Hey, how you doing? Are you ready to get married? Do you want a designer wedding dress, but you don't want to pay designer prices? Well, then you need to get to Googie Rene's slightly stained wedding dress basement.
It's some of the greatest four-line exchanges I've ever... Googie Rene was, this is about savings. He would scream, this is about savings. And then he would wave the camera close to him and cross his own eyes. He also would definitely get away with cursing because they would write it in the script as his saying, son of a bia, or fuh.
Yeah, fuh.
Fully said fuh a bunch of times. And I think it just got past the standards because it was just spelled F-U-H. Googie Rene, again, was selling sort of damaged, slightly stained. In fact, it's the Googie Rene slightly stained wedding dress basement.
Meet my assistant, Ruby, who's been a bridesmaid over 14 times. Ain't that sad? What you got there, Ruby?
Googie, I bet you can't guess what kind of stain this is.
I don't have the time to guess. You need to tell me. Shia.
Shia.
And this is my favorite. This is my favorite exchange. And maybe this is one of those where I remember how hard everybody laughed.
I have to admit, I had mixed feelings over wearing a dress that I heard had been covered in macaw feces.
Hey, what's a macaw?
It's like a parrot.
Oh, a smart bird.
James Anderson calling a parrot a smart bird. I wrote a sketch called Champagne Room that I have no idea what it's about and still don't. But it was a great show with a forgettable short. So you guys are on a weird run right now.
Definitely.
Wait, can I talk about this though? So how many shorts have not aired? Is it only 4 or 5 that have ever not aired, right? Sun's Day Out.
Yeah.
5. We think 5, according to Kevin.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was rare, and we are in a weird run. But we did jam the vote during the Thursday one as well, and it's all serviceable.
Let's talk about Jam the Vote.
Okay.
Here's a moment I remember, Andy.
Okay.
So I'm at the update desk with Amy. We haven't seen Jam the Vote. So Jam the Vote starts playing during a live Weekend Update Thursday.
Oh.
And it's the first time we've seen it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's so weird.
And it begins with you saying, I'm going to talk to people about voting. And you go up to Fred and you're like, are you going to vote? He's like, no, I don't think I'm going to vote. And then you grab the hot dog and you're like, I decided for you. And then you take a bite of the hot dog.
Jam the vote.
Excuse me, sir, are you registered to vote?
No.
May I ask why not?
I just don't see the point.
Fair enough, but what if I told you for the next 4 years you could eat only that hot dog or only those French fries?
Oh, probably...
Too late. The decision's been made for you, and now you're stuck with French fries for the next 4 years.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. I think I will vote.
That's what I thought.
Oh, careful. Spicy hot link.
I think I can handle it.
Jam the vote.
Immediately, I hated that. Because I feel like I've never heard someone say that.
Oh, God.
Whoa.
A spicy hot link is the most, it's such a deep cut. I hated it. So anyway, that's not my memory though. Then you move on to Sudeikis and you're like, would you rather have that basketball or that car? And then you start having acid reflux about the spice. It turns out that when Fred said, be careful.
Yeah.
There was a good warning.
He was a guy just by chance that likes really spicy hot links.
Yeah.
And in me trying to show him that he needs to register to vote, I made a mistake.
And my memory is that when Polar realized that's what this was about, she said, oh, brother.
That's high class, not praise from 2 people I respect.
So anyway, that's how I went into rewatching it today. The first time you threw up, Andy, I laughed really hard. I laughed really hard the first and the second time you threw up.
Okay.
Then you keep throwing up, and I mean, you know how I feel about throw up comedy. That's maybe where we diverge. But the first 2 got me super hard.
He's trying so hard to do something smart finally.
Political.
And he's got this whole premise that he's going to teach people to not be indifferent because when the decision's made for you, maybe you're not happy with how it works out. So he's got it all worked out.
Yeah, there's a thesis statement.
Once again, playing in a trope, the like rock the vote, the whole attitude of that, the very like self-righteous.
Yeah, it was jam the vote. That keeps smashing every time you throw up.
And the like MTV tone of like, it's actually rock and roll to vote.
Yeah.
Which was a thing during our childhood and teen years a lot.
Yes.
Which, you know, you understand why people were doing that because they're like, we want the president we like to be president.
I like when it expanded to Yorm as the boom operator.
Yep, Yorm has a nice, you puke on Yorm, the sound operator, and then he throws up. Now I'm super bummed because it's just throwing up.
I agree that the part of the throwing up that bummed me out more than I thought it would is that it feels real.
Yeah.
Usually when we do throw up, or when Andy does throw up, no, I don't want to say we, it's an Andy thing. The fun is the rig and how fake it is. And like the silliness of everything. And this, because we were on the street and he would just put some gross shit in his mouth, it felt real.
Oh, yeah.
So it was way grosser.
Yeah.
It was so gross.
I feel like it played well, though, right?
It did play well. You are sitting there and you're like, oh, I just need something to drink or put some food in my belly. And then you have your head down and someone hands you another spicy hot link. It's just such a bummer. It's like somebody's having French fries and a spicy hot link.
I don't know why that part bums you out. There's so many other things.
I swear to God, since that day, I've had my ears open to hear or even see on a menu spicy hot link.
Oh, God. Seth, the way that you and Neil Brennan don't like things is my favorite. It's like you, Emily Spivey, Neil Brennan are like my favorite when you don't like something. But when you in particular don't like something that we've done, it's my favorite thing. I'm like weirdly proud. I'm so giddily like, oh, great. Seth really didn't appreciate this.
Also, you're going to talk about the very end, the wig line? That might also be my favorite.
Yeah, although I will say I have one note about Wig. You're chasing Wig and she's walking too slow.
Yeah.
If she's actually trying to get away, she should be walking faster. But you're walking.
Are you registered to vote?
You smell like puke.
Please just talk to me. I'm trying to help register voters before the election.
The deadline for that was like 2 weeks ago.
It was?
Yeah.
Yeah, that the whole thing was pointless.
That's great.
Fuck. I agree, Keeve, that it was way too real looking. It was very disgusting. But at the same time, rewatching it just now, I was laughing. So
who's to say?
I don't know what the answer is. I do like that we did that on the very serious political Thursday thing.
I am happy it exists, but I have some thoughts. You mentioned Spivey. I heard Mulaney saying to Spivey, there was one time someone said they saw somebody fall asleep on a couch at SNL. And next to them, they like walked in and saw them asleep on the couch, and next to them, they just had a Dwayne Reed bag, like a white plastic Dwayne Reed bag. And when they told Spivey, she was like, oh, y'all know that was just full of Milky Way dark minis. Most perfect Spivey
observation.
Yeah.
Milky Way dark minis. Ugh, you know what was in there.
Is that the universal Dwayne Reed purchase?
Yeah. Classic purchase.
There were 6 shorts never aired, and the ones we've already covered are Lobster Claw and Handlebar, just to remind us of these things that happened.
Yeah.
Gawker Hopefuls, and then The Sun's Day Off. And, the rest will come up when they come up.
Yes.
Although Tudor's not on that list.
Oh, yeah. Well, it went straight to there was the first ever online only release.
So maybe that, right. These are 6 that have never seen the light of day.
Well, we'll talk about it later.
We'll get there. I feel like, did we maybe just do it? Did we maybe cover everything we were trying to cover?
I think we did. I had a great time. I want to toast you guys. I want to toast women of SNL. And I think this is a very important month that we're celebrating.
Boy, he's just bringing it back to that.
This is wild.
And I want to thank you guys for being both my friends, but also like my partners in this podcast. So thank you so much to you guys.
Fuck, that ruled.
A toast.
All the great spirited women, like Beetlejuice's wife.
Hey!
Beetlejuice is back.
Who to me is the most spirited woman. Is what I was expecting Andy to say every time I left a gap for it.
She's a bit of a Hellcat.
Without job. Even that J-Tank on empty.
Yeah.
I love we topsed and bottomed the podcast of Beetlejuice.
Wait, before we go.
Yeah, please.
Just because Keeve couldn't make it for the 50th one. I just wanted Keeve to have a chance to talk about the 50th.
Yeah, so give us your takes.
I mean, that's an outside perspective, yeah.
I mean, I really enjoyed watching it. I had to watch it, in a few different goes at it, but I watched some live and then made up for it, and I've seen every ounce. The musical show at Radio City, much like Questlove's musical doc, there was something about the music show that felt very magical, even at home when you have pairings like Robin and David Byrne. That in that moment, I felt the feeling I hope it was in the room of when you heard the opening synth line of Dancing on My Own, that you're oh my God, I didn't think I'd ever see this song live.
It feels subversively cool.
But also that song's a super smash hit, but it's also somewhere a sleeper hit because it never was a mainstream hit, even though I bet you if you rack up the amount of views and the amount of listens or whatever, I bet you it's up there with big, big hits. But it's not something that ever had a single moment.
Right.
So I think nobody got a chance to get sick of it because it was never a radio hit, never outwore its welcome, and it's just amazing forever. So I don't know. I thought that was special. Did it feel special there?
Yes.
It did. And I liked the mashup so much at that night. And even though I understand why it could not be the entirety of the 50th, because I do think it would have worn out its welcome, those moments as well, like Bronx Beat and Linda Richmond, kind of felt the same way.
Yes. For the music side, they do that on the Grammys a lot, right? Where they pair an older act with a younger act.
Yeah.
But usually then they do a different version of the song or something, or maybe they've just done it too much. I don't know. These felt more organic in the mashups to me in a way that felt musically satisfying in a way that sometimes those don't.
Agreed.
And then, the 50th show, I was really glad I had been at the 40th so I could picture it. You know what I mean? Like I felt like a lot of times watching it, like I was there because I was like, I know exactly how it feels right now to be there.
Right.
And so the FOMO wasn't as bad as I worried it would be because of that. And it's a blend of, it's the most incredible thing ever, but then every moment is a little bit overwhelming and you're kind of unsure where to put yourself. Like, oh, I'm talking to my friends, but I see my friends all the time. Should I be talking to somebody that I don't see all the time?
Yes.
And then like, oh, it's so much noise. So I just want to go away into, like how you guys said you went to over to your dressing room next door and just had a nice drink. And that's a drink you could have next week, but it felt special in that moment because you had gone somewhere quiet when all the noise is outside.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a choice to just tune out and be with the gang.
Yeah. And I understood from afar. I'm like, yep. But anyways, I enjoyed watching it. I told Andy the Spade line during the musical, I got a feel for it, was just clearly jumped out at me as like, that was it. That's the moment.
So good. Yeah, it was so fucking funny.
There were other ones I texted Andy, but I'm blanking on what they were.
What a thing for a line to just pop like that.
Yes.
In a night where everything's popping.
Yeah.
It summed up the whole show.
And it's just surprising.
Yeah.
Everything else is really good and expertly made by people that are professional, but they're also servicing what they're supposed to be servicing. And this was a moment that you haven't seen before and that isn't servicing anything, but it's inspired. It was an inspired moment.
Yep, Joesty.
Yeah, Joesty. Joesty, keeping it toasty. The perfect person who you would just, 50 years of the show, you would believe that halfway through a sketch would just go back to their seat.
Just go back. Like, I'm not needed here. And I got a feel for it. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's such a well-written line.
So the next episode, we're going to talk about Josh Brolin briefly, and then we're going to move on to the final show before the election. The next short we're going to talk about is Ross Trent, which, I'll save it for next week. I think we're all going to have a lot to say about that.
Rihanna liked it.
Yeah, not to ruin, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Spoiler, yeah.
Spoiler.
I'm excited to hear about this.
So if anyone out there doesn't like it,
yeah, talk to Rihanna.
She hates your guts.
Take it up with her and Rocky.
All right, guys, I love you.
Love you.
Love you, buddy.
Love you too, Seth.
Love you guys.
Laters.